Hey everyone. Before I get started on my counseling session, I really want to tell you I am not a counselor. I am not a therapist. I am not a doctor. I cannot diagnose anyone, nor can I prescribe any medication. I am not perfect. I am a child of God. And because of that, I listen to God when He says to do something. And this is one of those things out of the blue that I had no intention of coming on here for because my main thing is on Fridays. Well, God said different today. He says, Llewellyn, you have to go on. You have to talk about what your revelations were or your, ideas are, things like that. So here I am because I am no better and no different than the next person. I just go to counseling. And if you go to counseling, you know to ask questions of your counselor. What kind of background do they have, in my case, of drama? What kind of knowledge do they have? Is it book work? Is it maybe they had personal trauma in their life? What kind of information do they have? How long have they been a counselor, a therapist, or whatever the case is? What is their success rate? Those are questions that you need to ask when you go to counseling because you need to make sure that you have the best fit for you. And if for some reason they're not the best fit, it's okay to say, hey, I think I need someone else. I need someone that has a little more knowledge or a little more experience in this. It's okay to say that because you are important. You are worthy to get the best treatment possible. So having said that, I want to talk to you today about what happened in my counseling session. Not because I want to share everything, my details, and I'm not going to share the details. But there's something that she brought out to me. And as many of you know, I write books, right? So I've done a lot of research to put these books out there on Amazon for like a self-help for you, right? And they were all God instructed to write these. They're not in order. Holy smoke roonies. I wanted to put them in order and God's like, no, this was needed right now. No, this was needed right now. Okay, fine. So I'm working on other books right now. But anyway, the reason I'm saying this is because when my counselor, she brought out something to me today. She's, I know you do a lot of research, but have you thought about your childhood trauma, what happened back then? Because that's where mine starts. Mine starts at childhood trauma. I don't know where yours start. So wherever yours start, think of that person at that age. I was 7 when it happened to me. And she says, have you thought about the child? And I went, well, I did. And I did some research on it, but I just didn't think it was for me. And she goes, okay. And she says, so what are you working on now? And I told her about the books I'm working on. And she says, and you're doing research? And I says, yeah. She goes, why are you doing the research? She says, because it's important to me. So my question to you is how important is the trauma that you relive in your body important to you? How important is that to you? Do you want to get rid of it? I know I do. And I'm going to give you an example. I can tell my story up, down, right side up, backwards, forwards, and it doesn't bother me until 2 things. 1, I talk about my kids because that really devastates the crap out of me is what happened to my kids. And 2 is how my body reacts. So let me give you an example. My ex-husband had found out from one of his friends that I was talking to a guy. I was just talking, wasn't doing anything, just talking. And he was beating me. And he's, the kids caught us and he sent me upstairs, put the kids to bed, and I was getting ready for bed. And I took my shirt like this and I was going up like that. Well, when I had my shirt up, my hands were crisscrossed. I don't know how you take off a t-shirt. And so what happened was this right here got caught. And so he brought it closer on I can't do it. He brought it closer on my neck and was choking me. Well, I couldn't do anything because my hands were up here, right? To this day, if someone was to put their hands around my neck, I freak out. I just freak out. So that's one of my traumas, just one. I've got many, but we'll just go with that one. And so because of that, my husband has to tell me, or I have to ask him, you rub my shoulders for me. Just keep your hands away from my front of my neck. But I need my shoulders and my neck rubbed from the back, not from the front. I can't have it from the front. Freaks me out. And she asked me what I do about that. And I told her, so I've done some research and I've been working on focusing on that it's my husband, maybe have him face me so I'm looking at his eyes and I know that it's my husband and it's not some stranger coming up behind me, scaring the crap out of me and trying to choke me, right? And we got talking about my childhood. And one of the things that I told her is I do the research, like for my books, depending on how important it is to me. These books were very important to me because God told me I had to write those books so that others can also get the help. Because there's many people that, one, don't have the time between 9 to 5 because they're working to take time off to see a counselor. And two, sometimes they don't find the right ones or they're scared to go or, whatever the thing is. So I've written these self-help books because that's what worked for me. And there's things in there that may not work for you. And that's okay. Do the research for yourself because that's what's important here. That is the most important thing, is to do the research for yourself. What's important to you? Now, my counselor brought up a person that I want to bring up on Friday, and I'm going to do that on Friday. And it's a video, so I'll be sharing my second computer to share that video with you guys. And they talked about, what does it make you feel? When that trauma comes up, or the feeling or the place or the person is there and you're trying to avoid it and all of a sudden you can't, how does that make you feel? What is it that you're feeling? Is it an inside reaction or is it a physical outside reaction? And only you can determine that. I can't tell you how to feel any more than you can tell me how to feel. The only thing that I am here is to provide as much help as I possibly can, because I am worthy and so are you. Working through the trauma is not going to be easy. Trust me, I'm still working through it. And it's been many, many, many years ago. Like I said, I was 7. I'm no longer 7. But it depends on how important it is to you to work through whatever trauma you've dealt with. And it may be simple and it may not be simple. It may be hard to do, but you have to ask yourself, is it worth it? Is it important to me? What I'm going with, what I brought to my counselor's attention is very important to me. It affects my family. I don't want to tell you what it is because that's mine. And I don't expect you to tell me yours because that's yours. The only thing I ask of you is to work on you. What kind of things do you need? Research it. If you don't have the answer and you can't find one in my books, research it. My books are there just for a guide. They're not the whole story of your life. They're not the whole story of my life. They're just things that we can do to help ourselves in each circumstance that may come up. So I want you to keep in the back of your mind, how important is it to me? When you are going through a situation and your heart races, like right now, just talking about my heart's racing, how important is it to you to finish it, to follow through with it, to deal with it? How important is that to you? So that's all I wanted to say today, is to ask you to keep in the back of your mind, how important is whatever you're going through important to you? How important is that? Will you do the research to help yourself? Will you go to a counselor or a therapist, whatever, a psychologist, whatever you need? Will you do that? Will you ask them the questions that are detrimental for your healing? Because it's for you, it's not for them. I mean, if you're going to give out money to someone, make sure it's to someone who's going to be able to help you. And if they can't help you, it's okay to say, hey, I don't think we're a good fit for each other, and move on. I like my counselor. She's not a psychologist. She can't write prescriptions and stuff like that. But she's making me think. And that's what I want you to do, is to think. Think how important it is to you. Think how much research do you need to do to find what will work for you in your healing. Because your healing process should be very important to you. And all I can do is pray to God that this and whatever else other self-help that you found will be enough. And if it's not, do the research, find someone to talk to, someone that you can trust that's not going to betray your confidence. Remember, you're not alone. You are not alone. So having said that, and that's all I really wanted to say, because God's put it on my heart and he says, Lauren, you need to tell people this. Right? So I did. So keep in the back of your mind, how important is it to me? Only you can answer it. I can't answer it for you. On that note, I'm going to go. And I hope to see you all on Friday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You have a great and wonderful week. Remember that God loves you, and so do I.